Elon Musk had always been a man of ambition, innovation, and an uncanny ability to change the world. But there was one thing he had never experienced firsthand: the struggles of the people who lived in the shadows of society, those who barely had enough to survive. That was about to change. In an unusual twist of fate, Elon decided to go undercover, but not as the billionaire tech mogul everyone knew. This time, he would become one of the most invisible members of society, a homeless person. His mission was simple: to immerse himself in the experience and see how the world treated those who had nothing. But there was a catch. He chose to do this while navigating through the one place he had always been familiar with: car dealerships. Elon drove his beat-up van to a small dealership on the outskirts of town. He had disguised himself, dressing in ragged clothes and wearing an old, worn-out beanie to cover his famous face. He spent the night sleeping in the van parked in the dealership lot, taking in the sounds of the street, the cold air, and the uncertainty of the world outside. No one knew he was there, and that was exactly what he wanted. The next morning, he watched the dealership employees arrive. Most of them paid him no mind, seeing only another disheveled man living out of his vehicle. Elon smiled wryly, acknowledging the truth he had suspected for so long. Homelessness had an invisibility to it. Society had a way of ignoring those it deemed unimportant. He wandered around the dealership, pretending to be a man who had nowhere to go. He could see the salespeople glancing at him, some of them whispering to each other. But no one approached him. That was until one of the younger sales reps, a woman in her 20s named Sarah, caught his eye. She had just started working at the dealership and seemed eager to prove herself. Sarah, noticing Elon sitting near a row of cars, took a different approach. Instead of ignoring him like the others, she walked over with a soft, sympathetic smile. "Hey there," she said gently. "Can I get you anything? Maybe a coffee?" Elon, surprised by the kindness, nodded. "I'd love one. Black, no sugar." As Sarah went to get him coffee, Elon sat back and watched her, intrigued by the genuine care she seemed to show. When she returned, she sat next to him, not asking for anything in return, just offering a moment of connection. They talked briefly about life, though Elon kept his backstory vague, and he could tell that Sarah had a good heart. Over the next few days, Elon returned to the dealership, always playing his part. He spent time in the lot, eating lunch from a food truck and occasionally asking questions about the cars, always keeping his true identity hidden. Despite his rags, Sarah continued to talk to him, and over time, they formed an unlikely friendship. He learned that Sarah worked hard to support her younger brother, hoping one day to buy him a car and give him a better life. Her story resonated with Elon, and he realized how much of her ambition mirrored his own when he was younger. However, as the days passed, something unexpected happened. Elon, now deeply immersed in the world of the underprivileged, began to see a side of himself he had never fully acknowledged. The way society treated people like Sarah, or the countless others who walked in his shoes as a homeless person, was a reminder of the gap between the haves and the have-nots. He had always been in the position of power, but now, he felt what it was like to be ignored, dismissed, and underestimated. The moment of truth came when a high-end customer walked into the dealership, demanding a luxury vehicle. The sales team scrambled to offer the best service, but Sarah, noticing that Elon was still lingering near the lot, did something no one expected. She approached her manager, who had been closely watching the customer, and said, "I'd like to show him a car." The manager raised an eyebrow. "You're not seriously thinking of selling to him, are you? Look at the state of him. We don't do charity here." But Sarah, with a quiet defiance, stood her ground. "I believe in giving people a chance. He deserves to be treated with respect, just like anyone else." The manager reluctantly agreed, and Sarah led Elon to a used sedan that had been gathering dust in the back corner of the lot. Elon played along, asking questions, inspecting the car as if he were an average buyer. But Sarah's compassion hadn't gone unnoticed. The customer, seeing Sarah's genuine approach, took an interest in the conversation. A few minutes later, he offered to buy the car Elon was looking at, paying more than the dealership had expected for the vehicle. Elon, still undercover, smiled inwardly. The customer was more than willing to buy a car for someone who seemed to have nothing, simply because Sarah had treated him with dignity and respect. In that moment, Elon knew that kindness and opportunity could change the world more than money ever could. Elon couldn't shake the feeling that his undercover experiment had revealed more than he had anticipated. It wasn't just about the disparities between the rich and the poor, or the way people were treated based on their appearance. It was about the potential for good in every human interaction. Sarah had shown him that even in a world full of superficial judgments and hidden biases, there was still the possibility for true compassion and change. Weeks passed, and Elon didn't forget his promise to Sarah. He followed up with the scholarship, ensuring that she was enrolled in the automotive design program. But it wasn't just the scholarship that was changing her life. Sarah, inspired by Elon's belief in her potential, started working harder than ever to make her dreams a reality. She began designing concepts for electric vehicles, drawing from her own experiences and the lessons she had learned working at the dealership. Her passion for creating something that could revolutionize the world of cars grew every day. But Elon wasn't the only one who had learned something valuable from this experience. The entire dealership began to feel the ripple effect of Sarah's actions. The other salespeople and managers started to take note of how she had treated every person with respect, regardless of their circumstances. Slowly, the culture of the Yao dealership began to shift. People started realizing that kindness wasn't just a virtue, it was good for business. When customers felt valued and seen, they came back, not just to buy cars but to share their stories and connect on a deeper level. Elon, ever the visionary, was eager to see what more could come from this experience. He met with Sarah again, this time at a small cafe in the city, where they discussed her progress in the program and her new goals. "You're already ahead of the curve," he said, smiling at the ambitious young woman across from him. "Now let's talk about how we can get you involved in what I'm working on. Tesla is always looking for new ways to innovate, and I think you're the kind of person who can help us build the future." The idea of joining Tesla's design team was both overwhelming and thrilling for Sarah. She had never imagined that her passion for cars and her time at the dealership could lead her here, to a seat at one of the most cutting-edge companies in the world. But Elon's faith in her wasn't just about her talent. It was about her character. He had seen something in Sarah that others hadn't, the drive to make a real impact. As months went by, Sarah's role at Tesla grew. She started collaborating with engineers and designers to create new concepts for sustainable, futuristic vehicles. Her designs, inspired by the lessons she had learned from both her humble beginnings and her encounter with Elon, emphasized accessibility, environmental responsibility, and efficiency. Her goal wasn't just to create luxury vehicles but to design cars that could improve lives and help the planet. Meanwhile, Elon continued to support her, ensuring that she had the resources she needed to succeed. But more importantly, he made sure she never lost sight of the core values that had guided her from the beginning: kindness, empathy, and the belief that everyone deserves a chance. The ripple effect of this undercover mission went beyond just Sarah's career. The dealership where it all began soon became a model for other businesses. The management took Sarah's approach to heart, shifting the focus from mere salesmanship to genuine human connection. Sales skyrocketed as a result of the positive, respectful environment the employees cultivated. Customers didn't just feel like they were buying cars, they felt like they were part of a community that valued them as individuals. Elon's undercover experiment had started as a personal journey to understand the struggles of those less fortunate, but it turned into something far greater. It wasn't just about observing the homeless. It was about recognizing the humanity in everyone, regardless of their status or background. His decision to go undercover had opened his eyes to the power of kindness, and it had sparked a chain of events that would shape not only his life, but the lives of others in ways he hadn't expected. When Sarah's first electric vehicle prototype, designed with accessibility in mind, rolled off the assembly line at Tesla, Elon couldn't help but smile. It was a tangible result of the kindness and respect she had shown someone who had nothing to offer but a story and a cup of coffee. And in that moment he realized that sometimes the most revolutionary ideas didn't come from boardrooms or high-tech labs. They came from a place of understanding, compassion, and belief in people's potential. Elon Musk had gone undercover to see the world through a different lens, but the shocking ending wasn't just about his discoveries. As Sarah's first electric vehicle prototype began to garner attention, the ripple effect of her work grew even larger. Elon, always thinking ahead, knew that her design had the potential to not just change the way we think about electric vehicles, but also revolutionize the way cars could be made more accessible and sustainable for everyday people. Tesla had already made a mark on the luxury electric vehicle market, but Sarah's vision could be the key to bringing electric vehicles to the masses in a way that truly addressed global needs. In the weeks following the unveiling of Sarah's vehicle, the media began to pick up on her story. The narrative wasn't just about her innovative design. It was about a young woman who had come from humble beginnings, who had seen firsthand the struggles of those living on the fringes of society, and who used that understanding to craft something that could make a lasting impact. The press was fascinated by how Sarah's approach to vehicle design was rooted in empathy, focusing on inclusivity and sustainability while remaining practical. Elon, for his part, continued to support Sarah in every possible way. As Tesla began to ramp up production for her concept, they made sure the design process was as transparent and collaborative as possible. They also started a new initiative within the company, one that involved not only engineers and designers but also social advocates who would ensure that Tesla's work would be grounded in real-world needs. But even as Sarah's career skyrocketed, Elon couldn't ignore the nagging thought that had been in his mind since he first went undercover. How many other people like Sarah were out there with incredible potential but lacked the opportunity to be seen and heard? He knew that the world was full of untapped talent, people who might not have the advantages he had growing up, but who possessed the drive and ingenuity to change the world if given the chance. In an unprecedented move, Elon launched a global initiative with Tesla called the Hidden Potential Project. The idea was simple: to find individuals from underserved communities who had innovative ideas for sustainable, accessible, and transformative technology, and give them the resources and mentorship they needed to bring those ideas to life. The project was designed to identify talent that would otherwise remain overlooked, offering a platform for those who had been marginalized. The announcement of the Hidden Potential Project took the world by storm. People from all walks of life began submitting ideas, many of which focused on addressing issues like climate change, transportation accessibility, renewable energy, and public health. Sarah, now a lead designer at Tesla, was chosen to oversee the program, helping identify the brightest minds and working directly with them to refine their ideas. Over the next several months, the project unveiled some truly groundbreaking innovations. One of the standout submissions came from a group of engineers who had grown up in poverty-stricken neighborhoods. They had designed a low-cost, solar-powered water filtration system that could be deployed in areas without access to clean drinking water. The simplicity and impact of their design shocked everyone. Another submission, a series of affordable electric charging stations for rural areas, addressed a pressing issue in electric vehicle adoption: charging accessibility in less populated regions. Through the Hidden Potential Project, Elon and Sarah were able to empower countless individuals whose ideas could change the course of humanity. As they worked with these innovators, Elon saw firsthand the importance of providing opportunity where it was most needed. He'd always believed that the future of humanity rested on technology and innovation, but it wasn't just about creating something new. It was about ensuring that these innovations reached the people who needed them the most. As the project continued to grow, Sarah's leadership began to shine. Her story had inspired so many, and her empathy-driven approach became the model for how the initiative would be run. She had never forgotten where she came from, and her dedication to elevating others kept the program grounded in purpose. Together, she and Elon transformed the way the tech industry viewed potential. No longer was success defined solely by the resources or networks one had access to. It was defined by the ideas that could change the world and the passion behind them. Years later, when Elon Musk looked back on the Undercover experience that had set everything in motion, he realized how much it had shaped his vision for the future. It had given him a new lens through which to view innovation, one that was focused not just on profits or prestige, but on creating meaningful change for those who had the least. He had gone undercover as a homeless man, hoping to learn about the struggles of those in society's shadows. As the years passed, Elon Musk's vision for the future began to take shape in ways he had never imagined. The Hidden Potential Project had become a global movement. It wasn't just about sustainable technology anymore. It was about transforming the very fabric of society, about breaking down barriers and opening up opportunities for everyone, no matter where they came from. Communities that had once felt left behind now found themselves at the forefront of technological innovation. Sarah, now a well-known figure in the industry, had become a symbol of this new era. Her journey from a young woman working at a dealership to becoming one of the most influential voices in sustainable design was a story that was told in classrooms, boardrooms, and media outlets around the world. She hadn't just designed vehicles or technologies, she had designed a future where everyone had a seat at the table. Under her leadership, Tesla expanded its focus to include more diverse perspectives, ensuring that innovations weren't just about luxury or profit, but about accessibility, fairness, and environmental stewardship. Elon, too, had changed. His time working closely with the innovators from underserved communities had shaped him in ways he hadn't expected. He had always been driven by big ideas, but now he was driven by something deeper, a desire to leave a legacy that wasn't just about technological progress but about human progress. His role as the leader of Tesla and SpaceX had evolved from one of business and industry to one of mentorship and advocacy for a more inclusive and empathetic world. He didn't just want to launch rockets or build cars. He wanted to give people the tools to build their own futures. One day, Elon sat down in his office, now filled with mementos of the projects that had come to life through the Hidden Potential Project. His desk was cluttered with designs for everything from solar-powered homes to self-sustaining agricultural systems. But there was one piece of paper he kept in front of him, one that reminded him of the day everything had changed. The day he had gone undercover as a homeless man in that small dealership. It was a simple sketch Sarah had drawn, capturing the essence of her first vehicle prototype, the one that had started it all. The sketch was a reminder of the most important lesson he had learned through that undercover journey. That innovation, true innovation, came from understanding the struggles and dreams of the people who were often overlooked. In that moment, Elon realized that everything he had worked for, every company he had built, every mission he had pursued, had led to this, a world where everyone had a chance to make a difference. But there was still more work to be done. Elon knew that as the movement grew, there would be new challenges to face: economic disparities, environmental crises, political obstacles. He knew that not every problem could be solved by technology alone. The key, he realized, was collaboration. Collaboration between people from all walks of life, all backgrounds, all cultures. The future of humanity wasn't just about technological progress. It was about collective action and shared responsibility. He picked up his phone to call Sarah, who was now overseeing the global expansion of the Hidden Potential Project. Elon smiled. She had always been the one to remind him of the human side of innovation. It wasn't enough to change the world. They needed to change the way people thought about one another. And in doing so, they could build something greater than any of them had imagined. Sarah, Elon began, his voice filled with purpose. It's time to take this to the next level. We've changed the game, but now we need to change the rules. Let's work together to create a network of innovators around the world who can share their ideas and resources with each other. Let's make sure that the next generation of thinkers, dreamers, and doers have all the support they need to change the world. Let's make sure no one is left behind. Sarah's response was immediate, her voice tinged with excitement. I'm in, Elon. Let's do this. It's time for the world to see what happens when we work together. And so, with renewed vigor, they set forth on their next mission: to create a global network that would unite innovators, entrepreneurs, and visionaries from every corner of the world. The goal wasn't just to build sustainable technologies or revolutionize industries. It was to create a culture of collaboration and mutual support, a culture where everyone had the tools and opportunities to make their mark on the world. Through Hidden Potential Project expanded its reach, and with every new innovation the movement gained momentum. From solar-powered schools in Africa to low-cost healthcare solutions in South America, the impact of their work was felt around the globe. The world began to see that when everyone's potential was recognized and nurtured, the possibilities were limitless. As Elon and Sarah's vision spread across the globe, the power of collaboration began to reshape entire industries. The Hidden Potential Project evolved from a single initiative into a full-fledged movement, attracting thousands of passionate individuals eager to contribute their skills, ideas, and resources. Across continents, from rural villages to bustling urban centers, people were no longer bound by the limitations of their environment. They were empowered by the recognition of their potential, their creativity, and their ability to make a real difference. Elon and Sarah saw the early signs of true global transformation. The tech world, which had often been criticized for its lack of diversity and inclusivity, was beginning to change. Tesla, once solely focused on luxury electric cars, became a leader in affordable, sustainable transportation. Solar energy projects proliferated across developing countries, helping communities that had once been without power to thrive. Health solutions developed by previously overlooked inventors and entrepreneurs were making an impact on disease prevention and treatment worldwide. But the most remarkable change wasn't just technological, it was societal. As the movement gained traction, a new mindset took root. The idea that progress could only be achieved when everyone's voice was heard, and that every person, regardless of background or circumstances, had something valuable to contribute. This philosophy spread beyond the bounds of the Hidden Potential Project, influencing governments, corporations, and social organizations. People began to rethink the concept of success, shifting from individual accolades to collective achievement. Despite the overwhelming success, Elon knew that the work was far from over. The system that had kept so many people locked out of opportunity was deeply entrenched, and as the movement gained momentum, it faced increasing opposition. Those who stood to lose from this disruption, old power structures, entrenched industries, and governments with vested interests in maintaining the status quo, began to push back. Elon wasn't naive. He knew that true societal change often came with resistance, but with the power of the global network they had created, he was more confident than ever that the tide had turned. It wasn't just a fight for innovation anymore. It was a fight for equality, for dignity, and for the right of every person to live with purpose. Sarah, now a respected leader in the movement, felt the weight of the responsibility that came with the rapid expansion of their work. She often found herself at the center of heated discussions, pushing forward new ideas while dealing with skepticism and opposition from those who doubted the feasibility of such a large-scale transformation. It was one thing to lead a single initiative. It was another to lead a movement that was altering the course of history. But Sarah had learned in her own journey that it was the courage to keep moving forward despite the odds that made all the difference. Every time she faced resistance, she thought back to that moment when she had first crossed paths with Elon at the car dealership. She had been invisible then, an unnoticed young woman working a dead-end job. And yet, that simple encounter had ignited a fire within her, a fire that was now burning bright, guiding her every decision. One day, while attending an international summit on innovation and sustainability, Sarah found herself face-to-face with a representative from a government known for its strict regulation of emerging technologies. The man, a senior official from a country with a history of stifling progressive movements, was skeptical of the rapid changes taking place. "You can't just change the system overnight," he said, eyeing Sarah with a critical gaze. "There are deep-rooted systems that have been in place for centuries. You'll face opposition from every direction." Sarah smiled, her expression calm yet resolute. "The world has changed before. It's happened many times throughout history. People thought slavery couldn't be abolished, that women wouldn't vote, that people wouldn't fight for climate justice. And yet, Change came because people dared to believe that a different world was possible. Her words resonated with many in the room. They weren't just talking about the future of technology, they were talking about the future of society itself. The discussion shifted from skepticism to hope. In the coming months, more governments and corporations would follow suit, seeing the long-term value in collaboration and inclusivity, no longer fearing change but embracing it. In the following years, the Hidden Potential Project's global network continued to flourish. As technologies advanced, Elon and Sarah's efforts were increasingly focused on creating systems that connected local communities, ensuring that the knowledge and tools needed to solve problems could be shared across borders.